The books that we found to be the most helpful from the beginning didn't necessarily have to do with mental health needs, but they became part of how we realized how our son learned and processed and experienced his life. So he had complex medical needs. Again, he was nonverbal. So one of the first books that I latched onto was called Perception, Interaction, and Language. So this book was actually given to us by one of the first therapists we saw after discharge. One of his therapists realized that not only did we lose a lot in a sudden illness that our son had experienced, but he had lost all of his nerve endings. He couldn't fill the space around him, so we were trying to create new pathways in his brain. So this one was an early primer for us, shall we say, about how we needed to interact with him to give him more experiences, to get him in the world that was very difficult for him to experience, but helped him learn more about his environment. So one of the other ones, a beginning one, was called A User's Guide to the Brain. Again, I'm fascinated with brain activity. It's tabbed. I love my books with tabs. It talks about perception. It's basically talking about executive function. We didn't call it executive function. This was probably 20 years ago when we started diving into this piece. But it's talking about, again, the 4 parts of the brain that they had decided and research had shown were very important for people with disabilities, especially with intellectual disabilities, as they worked to be able to learn and to grow. One of the next ones was a book called How the Special Needs Brain Learns. This is one I was able to delve into. Again, I'm trying to figure out how his brain is interacting, how he's interacting with his world. These were some of the beginning ones. And then when I started becoming more involved with NAD, National Association for People with Dual Diagnosis, the publications that they put out spoke sensibly to me. They spoke about that, yes, you can have an intellectual disability, yes, you can have a developmental disability and a mental health need. They created different conversations within their materials that made it concrete. They also gave language that I could then share with my primary care physician for our son, with our neurologist, with other folks that was in our circle of supports for our son. There's too many to list from NAD. So the publications through that organization really is what gave me the fine-tuning to be able to understand dual diagnosis in a way that I could help myself understand it and help other people who were not yet familiar with the concept of dual diagnosis, so that we could help support our son in the way that he needed us to.